Hi guys, welcome to Dogman Stories with your host Amanda Lawson. Have you ever had a bad nightmare? Woke up with a racing heartbeat and very sweaty? Well, join these people in the stories I'm about to share with you. For most whom had no idea anything like this existed will never sleep again without medication. Others will never go back into the woods or even go out to their cars after dark. If you have had an encounter like everyone in the show, you would be the same way. Don't think you would be scared after running into the world's famous Dogman. I really think you will. But after listening to everyone's encounters, and if you're still not scared or convinced, Google recent Dogman hotspots. I suggest Taylor, Mississippi, and go camping out there. Or even go stand on Old Taylor Road for about an hour after dark. I dare you. And believe me, 90% of you will leave the first hour. Some may leave later or the following day. And 9% of you will actually probably come face to face with it before you believe and become scared shitless and suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome for the rest of your life. 1% of you may have a fatal encounter, which will be a sad mistake, and I hope you do not. But unfortunately, if that does happen, believe me, the local police will write it off as a wild animal attack. Which is right, but not a Dogman. They will not say it. So, no one will ever know how you died. It's a shame, isn't it? You could die and no one would ever know how or who done it. So would you still camp out in a Dogman hotspot because you do not believe and risk your life because you can't have an open mind? Listen to the stories told by the victims and how life is for them now. If you're still not convinced that Dogman exist, then that's your mistake. For the rest of you who do believe, smart choice on your behalf. This knowledge might just save your life one day. I do not wish running into or encountering a Dogman upon anyone. It's a life changer. It cannot be undone, it cannot be unseen, or it cannot be taken back. Once you have seen it, it's burned into your head forever. The pure horror is different on each individual. It all depends on the type of encounter, the actual type of Dogman, and last but not least, the mood and attitude of the Dogman, him or herself. If you run into a pack of Dogmen, my advice would be to put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. That's my advice, and that's probably why I would die. I probably would die. Because if I run into a pack of Dogmen, there is no way I am running, which I do not suggest running, because that may signal a hunt, as most of the experts would say. What the experts say is to slowly back up. Now, if you can do that, that is great. But I just don't think that would happen if it was me running into a pack of Dogmen. I do apologize for my throat. I'm very sick at the moment, but I needed to get this show up on the air. If you do not die from the Dogman itself, sometimes the sheer terror can kill you. Shock, fear, depression, anxiety, manic depressive, panic attacks, etc. all can lead to heart attack, stroke, and or death. You will find throughout all the encounters the similarities, the motives, all the insanely distinctive details of what the animal itself looks like, how it sounds, how it runs or walks, and even stands. More scarier than anything to me, though, none of these people know each other or have known of anyone in common, such as friends, employers, family. They don't even live in the same areas. Somehow they manage to all describe the same animal encountered at many different areas throughout the lands. What's even more scarier is that they appear to be more than one, and by more than one, I mean a shitload of them. Some of these animals roam alone, and some roam in packs. Most encounters happen with a single animal, but there are a few encounters that have included an entire pack of them. Now, later on in different shows, we will hear about encounters dealing with packs and encounters dealing with one or two. Every encounter is different, so you just have to listen and tune in each week. I'm going to try to get back on schedule. Every Saturday at 9 o'clock, a show will air. So for those of you who have been expecting it, I do apologize. And for those of you who are just now listening to the episode 1, every Saturday at 9 p.m., a new show will begin. Now, before we get into our encounter, there are a few things you need to know. Key points that will help you understand some things. To me, there are 2 different types of dogman, or at least known dogman. You have your K9 type, which is your normal looking wolf man, werewolf type looking dogman. Now keep in mind, a dogman and a werewolf are considered 2 very different things. Yes, a dogman does resemble a werewolf, but a werewolf is someone who can change from human to animal form and back to human form, which I have never heard of anyone who has actually encountered a werewolf. Only dogman. But yes, they do resemble werewolves. Most of them resemble werewolves in the movies Bad Moon, The Howling, The Howling, and Underworld. So just keep that in mind. And also there is a dogman that we like to call type 3. Now I got this vocabulary from Vic Cundiff. He calls them type 3, which looks more like a Bigfoot with a dog nose and canine ears, and has the claws like the canine dogman instead of nails like a Bigfoot. But they do resemble the Bigfoot because the rest of the body looks like a Bigfoot, except for their face and their ears and their hands. They do travel, so it's not impossible for them to pop up in the oddest places, royal, country, even some have been known to pop up in the city areas. Also, right now I'm working on a show. There is a dogman terrorizing a neighborhood, and it doesn't seem to be leaving. So if you think you're safe because you're in a neighborhood, don't think you're safe. And just because it doesn't attack someone doesn't mean it's nice. They can be very temperamental. And they like to ambush or attack from behind. And also, don't just look down. Look up in the trees, because these guys have proven to be excellent tree climbers. And there is an encounter that I'm working on where the man was attacked from behind. Unfortunately, the Dogman had been up in a tree and grabbed him and drug him up in the tree. So they're excellent climbers. So always remember to look up. Now that you know these few key ideas about the Dogmen, we can get into the stories. Also, everyone, I have decided to put this in the show. Everyone has a different name to protect their identity and their dignity. However, the story is 100% the same, including the locations. Locations to me are key information, so people will know where these creatures have been seen, so they can either avoid the area, or if you're crazy enough, you can go and do your own sightseeing or research on the animal if it still resides in the area. But if you're on private property, please do get permission. I am not responsible for anyone that gets shot crossing private property. And if you're in Dogman territory, it would not surprise me if you did get shot. People do not take it lightly when unknown things are crossing their land. So location is key. Also, I do not know if the Dogmen reside in the areas we're about to talk about. I admit I would be way too scared to go find out, and I really don't want to find out and see one up close. Too close for comfort for me. Just one more thing. Everyone in this story is telling the truth, and if you start to doubt someone's story, then I am sad to say it's probably me not narrating it as good as it should be, because everyone is telling the truth. I mean, how do you do a show like this and make people believe, especially when they don't believe? So either you believe or you don't believe. One or the two. Well, let's find out, and I hope you enjoy, and remember all the stories are truthful entirely, not made up, and they're not for entertainment purposes. They are educational. There are no made up parts for a longer version, and no matter if the encounter was short or what you would consider boring, I have not added any such incident to any story. Now, I'd like to begin with a story that happened in Germantown, North Carolina, in the year 1999. I promised you I would tell you about my encounter. It was a nice day, not hot but not cold, just right. I was walking through the woods, and all was so peaceful. Bright sunny day, animals running and playing, birds chirping, and squirrels playing all through the trees. I was just walking the trail that my family had made through the years by walking and riding four-wheelers. I was walking, and then I noticed that everything got quiet. I'm not sure how long everything had been quiet. I was content when I finally noticed it. After I noticed it, everything was quiet. I kind of got an eerie feeling, so I walked back to the house. When I came out to the woods, I noticed the dogs were going crazy, and the goats were all going in the building. That's weird, I said to myself. So I just wrote it off and headed into the house. That was about 50 yards past my grandmother's house. My grandmother's house was about 10 yards from the wood line and the trail entrance. My house wasn't surrounded by any trees and was about 50 yards from my grandmother's house, so about 60 yards from the wood line. I had a large cherry tree that was right outside my window. I hated it. It seemed like every night I heard something crawling up in the tree and then jumping down on the ground. The lowest limb was about 9 feet from the ground, so when whatever it was jumping made a loud thump, I never got up the nerve to look out the window to see what it was. I always thought it was some neighborhood kids climbing up in my tree, so I never paid any attention. One night I was at my grandma's house that was about 50 yards down the driveway. I always hung out down there after school or even during the night. I decided to go home around 8:30. It was already dark. I opened the door, walked outside about 3 feet, and heard something very large running in the leaves in the woodline. It had to be big and fast. It sounded big. You can tell if something is big or small running on leaves in the wood, and I could tell this was huge and fast because I heard limbs breaking as if a train was running, or not necessarily running, but just blowing through the woods, cracking limbs and stuff. I ran back in the house and told my grandpa what I was hearing. At first he laughed, so I just sat there. I wasn't walking home by myself. Not now, anyways. My grandfather noticed I was scared, so he grabbed his gun and told me to come on, that he would watch me go to the house. He would make sure nothing got me. Still giggling, he followed me to the door. So we both walked out onto the porch, and I headed down the stairs and started up the driveway. I was about 15 yards from the house and heard my grandfather yell as loud as he could, "Run!" And then the gun fired 2 or 3 times. I started running, glancing behind me, not knowing what to expect. I ran as fast as I could, my grandfather still yelling, "Go, go, go!" And then there it was, a howl, something I never thought I would hear, nor did I want to hear. It vibrated my insides, shots still firing and roaring louder and louder. I was hauling ass. I finally got inside my sliding glass door, and closed it and turned around. 50 feet behind me, there it was, just staring at me. Oh my God. Why did it chase me? Was it because I was running? What the hell is it? It looks like a werewolf. Holy shit, a werewolf? A fucking werewolf is staring at me. I was in shock. I couldn't move. I locked eyes with it. I was too scared to move. And then, just like that, it was gone. I didn't have a phone. I couldn't call down at my grandma's. I didn't know if my grandpa was still dealing with it. I didn't know if he was okay. So I had to wait till morning. I went in my room. I didn't tell anyone. I sat in my closet, and what seemed like eternity, I stayed there till about 7:30 in the morning, until I heard my mother leave. It was daylight at this time. I slowly opened the closet door and got out. I got ready for school. I walked into the living room and looked down at my grandma's and grandpa's through the sliding glass door. The lights were on, but I couldn't see movement. So I had to get up the courage and go down there. I slowly walked down the driveway, looking and looking, making sure there was nothing following me. I finally made it to the porch. The door was locked. This freaked me out even worse. I knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked. Finally, my grandpa came to the door, let me in real quick, closed the door, looked behind me, and we just stared at each other. And before I could even speak, he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes." "Grandpa, did you see what I saw?" "Yes, honey, I did." "Was it a—" "Yes, it was." "Where did it come from?" "I have no idea," he said. "I didn't think they existed." "Honey, neither did I. But in this day and time, you don't know what exists." "What are we going to do?" "Well, I've called the game warden. He'll be out here later today. We'll see what he says. You need to get on to school and not worry about it." "But what if it comes back?" "Don't you worry, I'll be waiting on it." So my grandpa took me to school that morning so I didn't have to wait outside. A few days passed. I noticed the woods were still quiet, so it gave me an eerie feeling. I could kind of sense that thing was still around. So there wasn't no movement outside much. One night I heard the goats screaming. The next morning the goats were ripped apart. It was war. This thing had attacked us. Had attacked our livestock. But after that, it was gone. It never came back. It got what it wanted. Till this day, I don't go outside in the dark unless I absolutely have to. I'm scared to death. Unfortunately, I do suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome. It scared the hell out of me. 50 feet is all it would have took, and it could have got me. It probably could have got me if it wanted to. That sliding glass door wasn't nothing. But to look something in the eye like that, you'll never forget it. And believe me, you don't want to see it. For those of you who think, "Oh, that's cool, I would love to see that." No, you don't want to see it. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And every night, I wake up sweating. I dream of being chased by a werewolf. Not always in my driveway. Different scenarios. And I always wake up with a fast heartbeat, sweaty as hell, and scared. Now in my adult life, I have to deal with my husband being an 18-wheeler driver. So me and my 3 children stay home alone Monday through Friday. It kills me. I thought when I got married I'd feel safe. Now I feel like a sitting duck. And yes, I am armed. I have 8 guns. Although I've heard guns doesn't do nothing to these creatures. So I don't know what I'm preparing for. If I ever encounter another one of these creatures, I can't guarantee I'll make it. But I hope you've enjoyed this story. This is my encounter back from 1999. My grandpa and I. Unfortunately, my grandpa has passed away, so he could not comment on this story. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below in the comment section. Also, I will start a GoFundMe page if you would like to help fund this page. I would greatly appreciate it so I could get some up-to-date things. But if not, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out somehow or another. And as usual, every week, hopefully everything will get better. Obviously, I am a new show. But if you really love Dogman or encounters, I suggest you tune in to Vic Cundiff's Dogman Encounter Radios. He has about 87 episodes now, and they are awesome. And I believe my episode is episode 73 through 76, somewhere around in that area. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will post it when I figure it out. And also tune in to the Dark Waters channel. He has some awesome Bigfoot and Dogman encounters. You'll love them too. And as far as the other ones go, I really don't know of any more, but if I learn of them, or if you guys know any, please feel free to comment below and let us know. Other than that, I hope you all have a great night, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Also, if you need to reach me, please send me an email to dogmanstories@gmail.com. If you'd like to share your encounters, you can either leave the email about your encounter for me to read, or you can leave your phone number and I'll contact you. And I am going to do a couple different things on the show. Obviously, those of you who have listened to Vic, he does have guests. I will have guests eventually. If you've listened to Dark Waters channel, he narrates, obviously, like I did, but he does a lot better right now. I'm going to narrate like I did tonight. And I will also do other types of shows where they're informational instead of encounters. And I'll also do shows where I just talk to people and get input and have call in. Maybe I'll do a live show. Who knows? It's the beginning of a new show, so there's so many possibilities. So I'd like to thank all of you, and good night.